what's your reaction to the whole FBI investigation of college basketball? How much of a pale do you think that puts on the whole thing?
Well, obviously what's out there right now is a black eye, but here's the thing for everybody here. I don't want to come across as uneducated or dumb when none of us know where this thing's going. So for me to really comment much on it, I mean, I don't know where all this is going. It's obviously what's happened to this point isn't good, but at this point, I don't think me commenting without knowing all the facts is the right thing to do.
John, how do you react to Mark Emmert's statements yesterday? And do you think the culture of college basketball is so hopelessly corrupt that something has to change?
I read the statement. I kind of liked it because in a point in there, he mentioned about the students. That at the end of the day, this is about the student athlete. And I would say, again, this isn't the format for me to go full boat in this, but I would say if we make decisions about these kids and what's right for these kids, we're going to be right. If the NBA is worried about the NBA, if the NCAA is worried about the NCAA, if each individual institution is just worried about themselves, and the last thing we think about are these kids, we're going to make wrong decisions. I would say, Tim, let's be fair with the kids. Now you'll say, well, what do you mean by be fair with the kids? So I'll ask that question that you were about to ask me as you smiled, okay? Being fair doesn't mean you treat every kid the same. When I coach my basketball team, I try to keep it real and I try to be fair. That doesn't mean every kid's treated the same way. Because one player may never have done anything wrong and one has tripped up 3 or 4 times, I'm going to deal with those kids differently. Every player is treated fairly as though they're a starter, but I just come back to that. There are a lot of players of different levels, of different abilities. Let's be fair with them. And how we're being fair, I'll leave that up to the powers that be. But again, with all this stuff, there's a commission out there now. Smarter people than I am on that commission. There's still stuff going on. For me to spend my time today on all this stuff, I just don't want to do that. I'd rather, let's talk about this team. You know, there's going to be a time where I'll say, here's some things I think we need to do. It'll probably be on CoachCal.com where you can read it. What happened? But now isn't that time.
Cal, since you want to talk about this team only, should this team over here to your right?
Wow. This is like the Skype machine behind me.
Should your players, since we're talking about this team, your players and every other player across the country, should they now start getting paid to fix this mess?
This is like him chasing me down the hallway and slipping down. Again, there's so much stuff. Treating kids fairly. I have some ideas, but I just don't think it's the time for me to talk about that stuff. And folks, y'all know me. You know where I'm tilted to. You probably could say this is how he feels and be right without me saying it. But I think we all should come together here and again, be fair. Being fair with this kid, like we have kids that are insured. You do know that, right? For disability. But not every player can get that insurance. They're not all eligible. Well, that's not fair. This is America.
Doesn't matter.
So you be fair with every one of these kids. Be about them. I'm not saying don't protect the game. This is how I make a living. I'm not saying don't protect our university. I'm not saying that. But the first decision should be, all right, what's right for these kids and how do we deal with that? If we do that, And we all come together with that. Being fair doesn't mean you treat every kid the same. They finally did away with this level playing field. You remember that one? We have 350 schools. There's no level playing field. That's just words. But let's be fair in that, and I think we'll move in a direction, because I would say this, we've had the highest graduation rate in NCAA basketball history of African-American basketball players. They raised the standards on all these kids' academic entrance, and I wasn't for it. I said, you're affecting one group, and you know who that is, and it's not fair. Well, that group chased that and reached it, and they're doing so much better in school than they've ever done in the history of our sport. And I don't think you blow up a system for 10 players, 20 players. I just don't believe you blow up a system. You figure out how you make this work. There are things out of our control. The NBA and the Players Association would have to come up with it. It's not in our control. They have to do that. But if they choose not to do it, how do you be fair with the players? How do you do that? How do we make this so that every player that's here is treated fairly? It doesn't mean they're all treated the same, but they're treated fairly.
First thing I heard with Matt.
There's a decent chance, Cal, that next week Rick Tino won't be the coach at Louisville. Will you miss the rivalry and coaching against him?
Look, it's unfortunate, all the stuff that's come down, but let's talk about my team, please. Does anyone here have a question about my team? Please.
John, one more question about the FBI.
Anybody have a question?
No, wait a minute. This is a media day, not coach day. I am entitled to ask a question.
Ask
You
it.
can then
Okay.
not answer.
Ask
fine. The FBI reportedly has expanded into looking at Nike. Kentucky is a Nike school. What reassurance would you give your fan base, the Big Blue Nation, if they're anxious about what this could mean?
Well, again, you're acting like you know something that I don't know.
That's all I know is right there.
That,
If a fan would put two and two together, it's
wait a
not.
minute, we don't know what you're saying if it's true. Do we know if it's true?
It's been reported.
Well, that makes it true. I have no comment to it. I mean, there's no one, we haven't been contacted, the NCAA hasn't contacted us. We're going about our business of coaching this team. How about a basketball question, since it isn't my day?
Go, John.